Hello everybody. Today I'm just going to take you through a autumn edit. So a nice autumn scene up at the Valley Lakes here. So we select our image. This is a raw file straight out of the camera. Take that into the develop module. So with my workflow, the first thing I'll do is I'll make a virtual copy. So if I right click inside the picture and come down to create virtual copy, that way you can easily come back and get the original and start again if you have to, or if you want to do it black and white or for whatever reason. And then I'll apply a lens correction, and then normally I crop. And with a landscape like this, I like to use a 16:9 ratio. I just like the look of that, sort of slightly more panoramic. I'll just bring that in there. Just remember, if you use a 16:9 ratio and you're going to print, you have to order the frame especially. So you just have to keep that in mind. Okay, so that's not too bad there. Alright, we've applied lens correction. Now we're just going to the basic panel. And the first thing I'll do here is I'll change the profile to landscape, because in my import preset I have everything set to standard. It just gives you a flatter starting point. But you can see the landscape profile adds a bit of saturation and contrast and stuff, I think, straight off. So I'll probably just raise the exposure a little bit, just looking at the histograms, a bit pushed to the left. That's not too bad there. It's in the middle of the day, so there's going to be a lot of hard shadows in a picture like this. If you look at your histogram, your shadows are to the left and your highlights are to the right. If you click on these little arrows, it'll show you where the highlights are clipping. You can see them here. You can also see it here with the underexposed areas as well. So while you've got that there, you can just pull those highlights down until they disappear up here, and you can reduce the amount of underexposed area in the shadows here by lifting the shadows as well. I want to lift the shadows a bit in this picture anyway. Add a little bit of contrast. You can turn them off. I'm going to set a black and white point now, so left click and hold on the slider and press and hold the Alt key. And just take it up, and you can just see where that cloud was. There's a little bit of clipping there, so that's fine. That's our white point set. So now the whites are white, they're not just overexposed. And same with the black. So left click and hold the mouse, hold the Alt key down, and just drag the slider up until those underexposed bits nearly disappear. It's okay to leave a little bit there. So that's the black and white point set now. With a picture like this, because there's so much texture in the foliage and leaves and grass and timber and branches and stuff, it lends itself to add a bit of texture, which is really nice. It's nice for a picture like this, and a little bit of clarity as well. So textures, I like the texture slider. If you're doing portraits of people and stuff, you can pull it down the other way and soften, but it's really nice to just to add texture to a picture like this. I'm not going to touch the dehaze and the vibrance. In my preset I've already added a little bit, but I might just add a little bit more. If you're ever having trouble selecting these numbers, just click on the number and you can physically type it in like that. And another way to fine tune your adjustments is you can actually click on the word and use the plus and minus key. Okay, so done that. This picture's pretty sharp already, so it doesn't really need much sharpening at all, if any. So I'm probably just going to just do a tiny bit. And then with your masking for your sharpening, if you press left click and press and hold like you did with your white point, press your Alt key, you'll see what parts of the pictures are being sharpened. So if you come down, more's being sharpened to the left. You only just want to sharpen the edges and the bare minimum, especially in a picture like this. You don't want to be sharpening the clouds and the sky. It's just no point. And there's no noise in this picture. If you press the I key, you'll see it's shot at ISO 100, F10. So it's nice and clean. So just press the I key to get rid of that. Just make this a bit bigger. You can, not using this Navigator panel over here at the minute, so I'll just click this arrow and get rid of that. That just makes it a bit bigger and gives you a bit better of a workspace to work on. Okay, so next up, so I'll do that for now. I'm just going to get rid of that sign there. I'm going to use the spot removal tool on heel. Just make sure the brush is feathered. You can adjust the size of the brush. Well, I can do it with the roller wheel on my mouse, but you can do it here as well. And it's just simply just going to block that out. It should go pretty straightforward because it's all very similar. So press done. That's fine. So that's that gone. I'm not going to do the other one. That can stay there for now. Okay, so now we're going to bring some colours out in this image. So if we come down to the HSL colour panel, you've got hue, saturation and luminance. So I just want to bring those reds and yellows and the lighter greens out there in the greens in the trees here. Just while we're on these colours, if we go back to here, and with the temperature, if you warm up a picture too much like this, you can see straight away that the greens get a brown tinge to them, and it's not very nice. It can spoil a picture by doing that. If you've got people in there and you want to warm up skin tones, you're much better off to use a radial filter or adjustment brush rather than globally warm the whole picture up if there's lots of greens in it, just because of that. And you can see it there. So to return that to where it was, you just double click on the word and that'll reset that to where it was. That works with any of the sliders, so if you were to do that, you just double click on the word and it'll be back there. Okay, so back to here, we just want to bring those reds out a bit. So if we click on this little tool here and then click on the red, and if you see here it's got a target top left, sorry, there's a little cross there. Just put that on the reds, press and hold the left key and push the mouse up the mouse pad, and if you look at the sliders there, you'll see the orange and the red sliders are going up. So just add a little bit, not too much. I'm going to do the yellows as well. Again, not too much, you don't want to overdo it. This is best. And then you can also just bring those greens up a little bit as well if you want to. You'll notice when you bring the greens up, the yellows come up as well. If you wanted to reset this all back, you just double click on the word saturation and everything will click back, or you can double click back individually to reset them. I'm going to leave that there. That's fine. And then if you go down to calibration, you can also adjust colours here as well. So I want to just bring the red out a bit more in that tree there. I'll just push that up. You can see how that's increased the intensity of the red in that tree. So that's in calibration, you can do that there. Okay, so I might just go back to here and just lift that exposure a little bit. It's about at this point now I like to look at this little panel up the top here. just gives you a bit of an idea of your exposure and your saturation, because as you all know, 95% of our pictures are viewed on phone screens, and so I like to look at that little Navigator panel up there just to see where I'm going with it. So I might just lift the shadows a little bit more, but that's there's a few highlights down the bottom here. I'm not going to go into graduated and radial filters in this video. We'll do that in another video. But if we just want to, you can see that there's just it's a little highlights are a little bit higher down the bottom here. So if we just pull a graduated filter up, if you press and hold the shift button as you drag that up, it'll hold it in a dead straight line until you let go of it and it goes crooked. And you can press the 0 and it just shows you what part of that graduated filter is being affected. So we can just pull the exposure down a little bit and the highlights. And that's fine. Okay, that'll do for this one. I'll just give it a green label to say it's been edited, and that's it. I hope you found that useful, and I'll see you next time.